None of us are supposed to be here.
Why did you want to revisit this material? Because it is so much obviously a companion piece to Casualties of War, which is, I have to say, it's always been, I think, my favorite film of yours for a number of reasons.
It's because this, to me, is the great story of these two particular wars, where you send young boys into a war with no clear purpose, in a hostile environment where they can't tell the enemy from the civilians. They band together as the only way that makes any sense is taking care of your buddy, and then their buddy's blown up in some kind of situation where you're not sure who exactly had something to do with it, but it was some of those people that they've been handing you fruit and pretending to be your friends.
Right.
And then they just go berserk. And they want to take vengeance. And they have these bursts of, very violent and sort of unimaginable acts. But the reason is that this is how any normal person would react, basically, in this type of crazy situation. And instead of saying, well, we're over there, we're finishing the mission. You have all these kind of, this kind of things that come out of, World War II, where that's the enemy, and because they're evil, and we're going to overcome. In this case, you're in such a world of ambiguity, you're not sure who you're shooting at or why.
Reconnoiter. Recon the area. Take a look around.
What was fascinating to me was the use of the different media and the different perceptions. When did that idea come to you in terms of, here's sort of the distance, whether it's the French documentary that's in Redacted, or the immediacy of the soldiers, or the wife crying on the internet. I mean, we see all of these different facets of the impact and perceptions of this particular war. How did you decide to do it that way?
It came from researching the material. Once I knew the story that was similar to Casualties of War, I went on the internet to explore the soldiers, their wives, posts, and all this stuff sort of popped up. Even the montage at the end of the film, there are many of those montages on the internet of, fallen civilians with very sad music with them. I mean, all these ideas came from the internet. They all exist on the internet. So I said, well, this is the way they're trying to tell us the story.
Right.
So if I can tell it through their particular formats, that's what it is, And it made it, and plus the idea of using HD and making it all digital. It's a whole digital reality.
As you began to learn more about the four men at the real heart of this story in Mahmoudia, what did you learn about them? Were you surprised by things you discovered about who they were and what they brought? Because they weren't the same guys at the center of Casualty of War. They certainly were the same archetypes, but they weren't the same men.
Well, I think the wars are different. It's kind of worse over there because, number one, in Vietnam, you had drugs, alcohol, and women. All that is very difficult to come by in Iraq. And it's gone on for a very long time now. And we do have, historical perspective of it, if we should ever, of course, mention Vietnam, and saying, well, didn't this sort of all happen before? But now we've even made a bigger mess because, now the whole Mideast is kind of unraveling because of all the China we broke in Iraq. So it's going to take a long time to get out of there.
What do you want from audiences when they see this?
I want them to be angry like I am and say, I was lied to. I was, all this sort of stuff we've heard over and over again on the talk shows, and it's kind of boring to repeat.
Right.
But we were talked into this war. It was, some thing cooked up in the White House,
right.
And then we were sold a bit of goods. But you have to be aware how easily you were manipulated with these images, And I, being a director, see it immediately. Because if you're on television, you're selling something. I'm here selling Redacted. I wouldn't be here for any other reason, except, of course, if I was a professional talking head.
Right.
But then, if I were a talking head, I usually have a book to sell.
Or you just enjoyed my company. You might want to be here as well.
I don't think so. But you have a book to sell, and you've got a lecture tour.
Right.
So I've got to be a big presence on television so that I can make a lot of money doing that. And I feel that the Fourth Estate was basically, as capitalism does to all revolutions, they make them rich. Then you become part of the system. You don't want to lose your talk show.